my journey as a USRN too is by presenting this webinar. So this is really a special time for me. It matters to me a lot that you are all here today. So thank you again for being here. Um, so my journey is continuing, and yours is also continuing. So it'll never end. It'll keep going. You'll keep learning and being the best you can as a USRN too. So I'm incredibly proud of you all for being a part of this journey and letting us here at ANP be a part of that with you. Um, so I want to just do a quick introduction of the team here today from ANP. My name is Justin. I am the Director of Credentialing and Candidate Experience for ANP. I have my co-host here with me today. His name is Gerardo or Gerardo. He is not only our ANP's recruitment team lead, who some of you may have already met, but he's also a close friend of mine too, who I see outside of this computer setting. So it's really great that him and I get to work with each other, and I'm very happy for him to be a co-host with me here today. Jerry, did you want to say hi?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for participating.
Perfect. So Jerry will help me get through this webinar. He will also be reading some of your comments and questions in the comment chat. So please feel free to use that. I will say that we are going to be moving our question and answering session to the end of the webinar today. So if you came with some fantastic questions, please save those for a little bit later. I will be, however, asking you some questions too. So be ready at your keyboard for some responses. I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys during the webinar, and so I can learn more about you too. So let's see here. Um, Not only, just to kind of introduce a little bit more of the team here, I wanted to remind everybody that not only am I a USRN here, but we have our president, Nelson. He is a registered nurse here in the US as well. We have a couple more members of the team. Ali, who is one of our who's part of our recruitment team. She's also a nurse. And then our immigrations manager, Danny, she's also a nurse. And last but not least, Corelli or Margarita, who is helping with travel and logistics. She is, you guessed it, also a nurse. So ANP as a whole is made up of amazing nurses, and this is an incredible family to be a part of. And we're so happy that you guys can also be a part of that family too. So thank you again for letting us be a part of your journey. I really hope you guys make it the best you can, and I'm confident in every single one of you. Um, just a couple ground rules, as I said before, the Q&A will be at the end of the presentation. So thank you for coming with questions. We'll direct those to the end. Jerry will help kind of sort through that. Gerardo will help us sort through that. And thank you for your participation as well. So let's go ahead and get started. This is me. This is about my journey of a USRN. So thank you again for being part of it. So I want to start by asking everybody, and please write this in the chat if you can. Why did you become a nurse? And this is a very important question that I ask myself almost every day. And I hope you guys kind of keep this in mind too for when you're moving forward as well. I think it's very important to be always kind of aware that and recall what it is that brought you here in the first place. We want to make sure that your dreams align with ours for you too. And I think as a nurse, we can all relate. We probably are all in the same boat when it comes to why we become an RN. So I'll go ahead and go through a couple of the points for me. And yeah, please share how you guys felt as well with that. Okay. So first and foremost, you love to help people, right? Nurses, you don't get into nursing without having the desire and the want to help somebody, right? To be there for somebody. I remember as a kid going to this store called Best Buy. And if you're not familiar with Best Buy, um, it's just like an electronics store. So as a kid, I was so into like electronics and video games. But anyway, outside of that store was this bus. It's called the Big Red Bus. and you go there if you want to donate blood. As a kid, you can't donate. If you're under 18, you can't donate blood. They won't let you. But every single time me and my dad went to Best Buy, I was like, Dad, I want to participate. I want to help people. I want to be there. And it was always inherent for me to have that desire and that compassion to help people. So it's no surprise that later on in life, I translated that energy into nursing. And I think nursing is a fantastic profession, and I love it so much. It means a lot to me to be an RN. And we also have to remember that, life is tough sometimes. The situation doesn't always call for action as a nurse. So helping people comes in many different shapes and forms, right? We can act for them by administering certain medications, or we can just be there for them in a non-verbal manner. Um, if you all saw me in person, you would immediately realize that I like to hug. I'm a hugger. If you met me in person, if this was in real life, I would have hugged probably every single one of you. And that also happened in my time in the hospital setting too, with patients. If they're having a rough day, guess what? They're getting a hug from me. If the family member that comes and needs my support, I'm giving them a hug. Sometimes it's all that it needs. My team members, let's hug it out. It's a rough day, but we got through it. Let's hug it out. Let's come back the next day even stronger. Doctors, administrators, no matter who you were, a hug can mean a lot. It can make a huge difference in somebody's day. So non-verbally is just as important as taking action or verbal response too. So that was how I shared my affection, my compassion in the nursing world as well. I'd love to hear more about how you guys relate to this too, how you love to help people. Not everybody is a hugger like me, but we share our compassion in different ways, and every single way matters. You never know who is going to respond best to that. So there's no right or wrong way to help somebody or be there for somebody. Speaking of Gerardo, if you're having a bad day, just to let you know, just call on me and I'll come give you a hug. Okay, I know you're 2 hours away, but I'll come give you a hug, brother. So perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. The next thing, opportunity. I think everybody that's in this chat today can raise their hands and say, yes. I mean, obviously, you started with ANP and Kasaija, thank you for raising your hand. I saw that. Thank you. We all want this opportunity. We're here for with ANP because we see ourselves in the future, and we want to work with ANP to realize the dreams that we have. And it's very important for us to recognize that everybody's dreams are different. Everybody's goals are different. So how do we make the best here at ANP, the best we can for you all? Because we all don't want to just be a USRN. We want to be the best USRN. We want to be a surgical RN in the US. We want to be like a pilot of a helicopter in the US. How do we make this happen? How do we bring these dreams to life? And I want to also say that nursing here in the US, the opportunities for you all are endless. And I can confidently say that. If you Google US nursing roles, you're going to get list upon list upon list of opportunities in nursing. And it just keeps going. Nursing is such a high demand job right now in the US. And it is a profession that is continuing to learn and grow with you. So as long as you have that desire, that strive for opportunity, nursing is the perfect place for you to be, and the US will gladly support it. I've had such an incredible experience working not in my hospitals, um, you know, with the support system built into those to get to where I am today, and I'm super grateful for that. Um, I mean, I'm here talking to you all from the comforts of my home, as a registered nurse. Like that's incredible. That's crazy to me. I never in a thousand years expected this kind of opportunity, but that's what you can look forward to in the future in the US. You can look forward to these opportunities because they're out there. All you have to have is that desire, continue striving for those opportunities. Okay. We want to help facilitate that. So also keep us in the loop too. Let us know how you do when you get here. Let us know how we can continue to support you because ANP is not just one step in your life. We're going to be there for you forever, okay? And we want to continue to support you. So we love, yeah, we love that, and that is the hopes, at least from ANP. And I can tell you from my personal experience, the opportunities for you all are endless. Um, kind of give you like a few more examples of nurses, the crazy roles that I've heard of. NASA, which is our space program here in the US, you can become a nurse for NASA. You can go work for those team and work with astronauts. You know, schools, you can be a nurse at a school system. Maybe your kid, maybe your child that you haven't had yet or you currently have attends a school here. You can work at that school as a nurse. You know, it's on a small level and on a big level too. There are so many things you can do as a nurse. It's very, very exciting, and I'm excited to see you all grow and develop too. You were positively impacted by another nurse. This happens actually a lot more than you realize. I worked with nurses who told me, they said, hey, you know, because I would ask them, you know, what got you into this field? You know, that's like kind of the first icebreaker you ask anybody who's a nurse. What got you into nursing? And a lot of the times it was, oh, my family member was sick. You know, they weren't feeling well. And so we came to the hospital, and the nurse that took care of my father, my mother, my aunt, my great granddad, whoever, my child, was so sensitive and kind to my family that it inspired me. You know, I was in a role that didn't give me that fulfillment, but by being inspired by this caregiver, I decided to change careers. I decided to change my life and become a nurse. You know, this maybe have happened to some of you too, and some of you can relate. Um, and I thought that was super special to hear that nursing can have that big of an influence on you and to onto others to literally have them, you know, pick up where they are and become a nurse themselves. Like, how many professions out there are there that have that unique kind of experience, that unique feeling? I've never had in any sort of I don't know, let's say lawyer or something like that. I've never had like a crazy experience with a lawyer that made me realize, oh, you know what? That was such an incredible experience. I'm going to become a lawyer. No, there's no there we don't get that kind of emotional connection that we can develop as a nurse. So always keep that in mind, that your care matters and it's going to inspire the next generation. And well, the hospitals that I worked with, they award that. They love that. They want that. That's the type of nurse that we look to strive to be and want in the U.S. So it's really great. So stay committed to your dream and your goals. You know, always remember why you became a nurse because it's going to continue to shape you in the future as well, and it's going to shape the next generation of nurses too. So yeah, thank you so much for listening so far. um, I wanted to, before we move on to the next slide, show you, well, you already see it, my graduation photo here on the left. This is my graduation photo from the University of Central Florida. I received a bachelor's in nursing from this college, and actually, this was an opportunity that I got through a hospital system here in the United States. They covered my expenses to become a better nurse, so they want to see you succeed, and this is a very proud moment for me, to you know um, my college experience. Opportunity to grow. I know I kind of already spoke to opportunities, but I wanted to present a little bit of statistics here that we have in the United States. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. They track all this stats and information, and it seems on a small scale, 30% of nurses being accounted for in the healthcare workforce. That seems small, but when you really think about it, that's one in every three people. If you go into a hospital, one of every three people that you meet is a registered nurse. That should speak volumes to you as to the demand of nursing and the opportunity for nursing. These aren't nurses that just have bedside roles. These are nurses that work with anesthesia. These are nurse leaders. These are nurse educators. These are specialized nurses in all different fields too. The opportunity for you to develop yourself and work on your skills and hone in on what you want to be is there. And it really is. This statistic is super exciting. You don't see this in any other profession. So again, props to everybody that chose nursing as their career, because this is what you have to look forward to. We kind of spoke earlier about the many ways to become a nurse. I'd love to hear, and I'd love to see you guys in the future come back to ANP and say, I spent a couple years at this hospital and they helped me to become this nurse. So please, whenever that point comes, and it's coming soon, definitely come back to us. Share your story with us because we love to hear it. Nothing gets my team more excited than hearing these small successes right now, but we know that this is just building up to like the big successes, which is holy cow, this candidate, they had started at this hospital, and after like 5 months, now they're a nurse manager. Like that's incredible. We want to celebrate and share those wins with you. And like I said, ANP is here to stay. We want to be with you guys through and through. So please let us know how you do. To kind of share a little bit again about my experience, I worked in what's called the PCU, or Progressive Care Unit, here in the States. It's also known as step down or intermediate care, where some of you might be from as well. This is a step below ICU. And I was in progressive care, I was bedside for 9 months. I actually started during COVID. So March 2020, I start my first job as a nurse. And all of a sudden we're wearing masks like crazy, protecting us from an unknown virus. It was wild time for me to start with, as a brand new RN. I had no skills whatsoever. I was still brushing up my skills. But I worked on that unit for 9 months until I transitioned into the cath lab, also known as interventional radiology. Just 9 months. And some of you might think, how did he do that in just 9 months? Well, this is why, the demand is so high, and people want to see you succeed and want to see you grow. If you tell them, hey, I have an interest in this field, they're going to work towards getting you into that role because they want to keep you. They want you there forever. These hospitals, they don't want to let you go. They have you, and you're theirs. So also like work with them to help you get to the best that you can too. And I promise, if you keep that in mind, if you work with the hospital, you will get to where you want to be and you will succeed. That is something I truly believe. So, how many of you all in the chat would love to work at a hospital like this? I think most people are saying, holy cow, that's a real hospital. Like, this is what we have to work for. This is what we have to look forward to. And yes, this is, if you can tell by the palm trees, this is a Florida hospital that I worked with. Um, it's incredible how the type of medicine that we have available and the technology that we have. And I mean, look at the building. The building looks like a piece of technology itself, right? It kind of looks like a fancy computer. I couldn't design anything like this. I'm not that creative, but to work in this type of hospital, it feels good, right? It feels great. It gives you a sense of pride that, yeah, I'm showing up to the doors of this hospital, and this is mine. This is my place, and I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to work here and um, continue to develop myself and my skills. And this is just one facility. There's a whole bunch of health systems out there in other different states. that have even fancier hospital like looking hospitals. It's kind of wild, just how nice they can get. And as a patient, it feels good when you can show up to a nice, clean hospital too, especially if you're getting a surgery like that. You don't want to show up in like a hospital that you'd rather go to this hospital than something that might be a little bit smaller. But yeah, everybody gets their start somewhere. But keep working, keep striving towards growing, and you might work at a nice hospital like this one day too. My routine. I want to talk to you a little bit about my day in the life of my nursing experience. Um, First off, let's talk about the photo. It's the elephant in the room right now. Okay, I know you guys are all thinking it. Justin, where's the beard at? What's going on here? Why are you eating ice cream at what looks like 9 a.m.? Well, to give you context, remember I started it during COVID. I had to shave all this off. And my wife, I couldn't keep my mustache. She's like, no way, you're not keeping the mustache. So I had to clean all this off to wear that mask. This is the earlier starts to my experience as a nurse. And Jeremiah's, the ice cream that you see here, this was just one of the many things that the hospital provided during stressful times. They would host food parties for us. They would take us to different events, have like cheap tickets to like soccer events and stuff like that available. They would have extracurricular stuff like kickball tournaments. I don't know if you've ever played kickball, but it's like baseball with a ball that you kick, hence kickball. Anyway, there's a lot of things that you did as a nurse, both in the hospital and outside the hospital. The hospitals were were a community. They weren't just a job. They wanted a culture built into them, and this was a way of the hospital sharing that culture, which is, how do we treat our nurses to something special, to a nice sweet treat like ice cream. And if you ever come to Florida, please go to Jeremiah's ice cream place. It is unreal. It is out of this world. It's one of my favorite spots. Um, but my routine, I mean, gotta have my morning coffee, right? Here's my cup right now. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's got Mickey Mouse on it. I gotta have my morning coffee. It's a standard, right? Um, it it's a start to my day. It gets things going, get things moving. So I'd have my morning coffee. I'd walk my dog, make sure that he's set, wash my face, brush my teeth, all that. So that the coffee is like the domino effect to my morning. Commuting. This is an interesting one. There are multiple ways to commute as a hospital nurse. A lot of these systems or hospital systems are built in cities that have available public transportation. For instance, the Sunrail, that is a train system here in Orlando, and they actually have a stop near one of the hospitals here. So you would see a lot of people wearing scrubs come off of that train. They don't have a car, they don't have a bike, they don't have anything like that, but they would get off a train to get to work. It's pretty cool, honestly, to be able to use that kind of system, and also not having to have any sort of worry about the roads of the day or anything like that. They can just hop on the train, go to the work, get back on the train, and go home. Simple as that. Buses are also available too. Those are great. Uber and Lyft, though some people would use that, It's it isn't necessary always to have a car. I would say that when you arrive to the city that you're going to be working at, well, we have a team that's going to help you, of course, to figure all this out. But look into that public transportation. That might be something that you worry about early on, but then you realize, oh wow, it's actually really easy to get to the hospital. It's right across the street, you know. Again, going back to that sense of community, hospitals want to make this easy for you to get to work as well, and there's systems in place that can help you. I remember this one that I worked at actually had a bus pass available for free, so you get the bus pass and be able to use that bus whenever you wanted to get to work. It was great. Um, I really enjoyed. I drove. in the mornings because it wasn't bad. We show up at 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, so traffic's not too bad. But I would drive in the morning. Next step, getting to work, start the triage, learn my uh, patients. We would have a ratio on the PCU unit or PCU, progressive care unit, of a 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 ratio, nurse to patient. That's typical here for a lot of the units, and probably a lot of what you guys will see as well, 1 to 3, 1 to 4 ratio. So I go in early to get my patients for the day and then learn about them, see who needs the most attention first, just prioritizing my responsibilities as a nurse. And this is, this is where you learn quickly. This is where you have to learn quickly, right? You're getting handoff report from the night shift nurse, and you want to make sure that you prioritize your care so you take care of that right patient when they need you most. My favorite part of the day, honestly, and I'm sure a lot of you agree, is lunchtime. This can happen at any part of the day as a nurse. It's kind of up to you to be flexible and know your patients and know when they need something, and then plan your lunch whenever you can. It could happen early in the day, middle of the day, or late in the day. It's kind of up to you. The hospitals don't usually require you to take it at a specific time, but it's great. I love lunches because a lot of times I didn't need to bring a lunch. The hospitals cover my lunch. I recommend bringing lunch because otherwise you'll gain like 20 pounds like I did, relying on pizzas and sugar. But it was nice to be able to receive that. It was kind of like, oh man, they got Papa John's pizza today. Like I'm so excited for that. That was my routine, kind of on the daily. And then in the future, when we do another webinar, maybe I could talk about it maybe in more detail as what I would see as a nurse. But this is just kind of like a general overview. I loved really every team I've been a part of so far. I've never had a bad experience here as a nurse, and I really loved working with the doctors as well. The morning rounds that the doctors would come by and do, those were one of my favorites because I would learn from them, and I'd be able to talk to them and tell them, hey, for my patient to go home today, I need this. And they'd be like, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's do that. It was always a collaboration. I never felt like the doctors were forcing me to do something I didn't want to do. They actually valued my opinion because I'm with the patient 12 hours a day and they don't see them for 12 hours. So it was always nice and refreshing to have those moments with the physician to say, for this to succeed, we have to do X, Y, Z. And then be like, Justin, let's do it. You're right. Let's try it out. And then here's what we can do as backup, but let's see how it works. And hopefully we can get the patient home sooner rather than later.
Justin, sorry to interrupt. There was a question that was sent as a
Sure.
direct message. It says,
Okay.
did the hospital provide you with a parking spot?
There was a lot of parking available. There is actually some buildings that were set up just for parking for staff. So this wouldn't be available to visitors. It would be like a gate. So you get your badge and you present your badge at the gate. Gate would go up for you and you can drive in and get a parking spot. There are, of course, as you work up, there are parking spots available to, administrators and doctors and stuff, especially physicians. But I never had a problem parking, honestly. And I worked at a lot of smaller hospitals. I didn't work at the big ones too much. I like working at the smaller hospitals because I got to get to know my team better, my physicians. So yeah, even with the smaller hospitals, I didn't have any issue parking. Good question. Nelson.
Just want to add about parking is a great question because in one of my hospitals, Justin's, there was this one spot for the nurse of the month. So if you were awarded the
Hmm.
nurse of the month in the hospital or in your unit, they had this really sweet spot that it was like next to the entrance, that it was next to like the CEO and the CFO and all the
Hmm.
admin levels. Not every hospital does that, but some hospitals get creative and At least two of the hospitals I worked for, they had it. Never won it, but I always won.
Yeah, I do recall I got employee of the month once, and I think a photo of that is on this slide actually. We'll get there. But I did get employee of the month once, but where the parking spot was actually on the other side of the hospital where I didn't park in the first place. So I was like, well, it's cool to have something, but I never really used it. That was Nelson, by the way, everybody, the president of ANP. He's a terrific guy, registered nurse as well. Thank you for speaking, Nelson.
Thank you,
Uh,
Justin.
Education, something to not forget about when you are working here in the U.S. Education is incredibly important for hospitals because we know we learn about medicine, new medicine every day, right? So education is important. It's probably on a biweekly basis that there's some new education for you to learn. But that's internal education. Don't forget about the external education that you need to do outside of the hospital. A lot of this is covered by the hospital system. If you want to go back for your master's degree, if you want a special certification, a lot of the hospitals will cover that for you because again, they want to see you grow. I use this to my advantage, and I recommend you all do the same. Once you get started, look into those benefits, see what you can use to continue to grow, and maybe you'll get your own parking spot one day. You won't have to fight anybody, but it's never been a problem. Parking's never been a problem for me. So what did I do in my journey as a registered nurse? I told you 9 months in PCU, and then after 9 months, it's actually funny. A cath lab nurse had come up to one of my patients one day. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool what you guys do. Like, how do I get into something like this? And she's like, oh, like you just gotta keep improving in like the cardiac areas, keep learning about this, and maybe eventually you can come down. 2 months later, she's knocking on my door. She's saying, hey, um, you want to come and shadow and see what it's all about? And I said, yeah, that'd be fantastic. Shadowing, and if you don't know what shadowing is, it's just taking some of your time to go and visit a new department and kind of see if it's something that you're interested in. I actually shadowed at two places. I shadowed in the OR, the operating room, and I shadowed in the cath lab. I evidently chose the cath lab because I just like the pace of things. I like the speed. And not to confuse anything, but the cath lab also went by interventional radiology. So if some of you worked with radiology equipment like the CT machine here, uh, if you're familiar with that, that's also something I would do too. On the bottom left photo is one of the labs that I would work at. You can see the C-arm there for imaging or X-ray imaging. Some a Pyxis, which is the medication system in the back. Some anesthesia equipment to the left. Really, this is some kind of like a standardized setup that I would see at a lot of hospitals. Really nice, and it felt good to work in that type of atmosphere. Heart catheterizations, that's the bread and butter of the cath lab. That's when we would go into the heart, place stents. If you have a patient who's having a heart attack, you would work with a physician to balloon and then possibly place some stents if needed. It was definitely a high stress situation to be in, but the payoff is great. It felt good. Vascular interventions. This is more for the interventional radiology side. Peripheral arterial disease, who I'm sure you guys are all aware of too, can go in our lower extremities, opening those up too. Drain placements for abscesses and stuff like that. Diagnostic studies. Let's image the heart. Let's see what that looks like. So pretty cool stuff. Honestly, I was always fascinated. It's cool because we would work with medical reps and representatives. So they would come to the hospital with their equipment and kind of work with you to show you how to use equipment properly. And they would, teach you about the new and upcoming equipment too. So a lot of those positions, medical reps, those were nurses as well at some point. They worked in the cath lab for a couple years, and they're like, you know what? I want to sell this equipment to the hospital. I actually think this is really cool, and I want to keep learning. I want to be on the cutting edge of the next piece of equipment that we can use. A lot of these were nurses or techs that worked in the lab as well. So again, just another opportunity as a nurse. Just because you get to the cath lab, it doesn't stop there. It keeps going. You have more opportunities available to you. This was my last position, procedural coordination. I was the nurse care coordinator for interventional radiology procedures. So I would triage the patients, get them on the schedule at a specific time of day, make sure that we prioritize, of course, the first procedures, the more important ones that we need to do. I'd work with anesthesia to make sure their availability matched ours. It was and I worked directly with the radiologist. So we would have constant communication together. I wouldn't see them just once a day. I would see them throughout the entire day. And I love working with radiologists. They're fantastic. They're super cool. It was funny though, walking into their rooms and seeing them like in these dark rooms, looking at their X-rays and ultrasounds and stuff like that. But yeah, they were fantastic guys to work with. My recommendations going forward from today. This is how I think everybody should use their time to kind of progress themselves and get themselves ready for the future. This can be a long transition for some of you to get to the US. So a lot of times we get asked, what can we do today? Is there anything we can do to speed up the process? And the simple answer is there is a way for you to prepare yourself for the future. That way, when you get here, you are hitting the ground running. Like you're not going to stop. You're going to keep building and growing quickly too. And I would suggest finding a mentor. And this can be anybody. This doesn't have to be a nurse as well, but finding somebody that you can communicate with and share ideas with, I think is paramount. I think is very important. And it's nice to get another perspective on things as well. You might have goals that can just use a little bit of polishing as well. And that mentor can just be there to help bounce ideas. I use a mentor all the time. I have a mentor who is a nurse actually. His name is Jake, and he helped me kind of develop the ideas of what I wanted to do as a nurse, and it's kind of part of the reason why I am here today. Honestly, is because of his guidance. So it's always nice to be able to bounce those ideas off of him. A 3 to 5 year plan is Jacob's first. Oh, sorry, Gerardo, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we have a really good questions, Justin. I want to see if you can
Sure.
take some time.
Yeah.
Christiana asked, what's it like working in the ICU?
That is a fantastic question. I did not work in the ICU, actually. I worked in the PCU, but I worked with ICU nurses and intensive care unit. It's intense, but it's super interesting. The ratios that you would see there for nurse to patient are usually 1 to 1 or 1 to 2 because you have a lot of critical thinking that you need to do throughout the day. And there's a lot of equipment that you need to be aware of, certain medications that have to be titrated, changed throughout throughout the patient's time in the hospital. It's something that I wanted to do, but because the cath lab came kind of early for me, I didn't go into. But I do recommend, if you're interested in the ICU, it's invaluable experience for you. A lot of roles in the future in critical care require you to have that ICU experience. So it's definitely good if you're interested in that. It's tough. So I would definitely recommend, getting your feet wet first with just getting familiar with the hospital system, getting familiar with the technology, um, managing your time properly. I would not recommend, oh, this is just me personally. Everybody's built different, but I always recommend just getting comfortable in your new environment first before moving on to that next step so you don't feel overwhelmed. I think, Nelson, did you work in ICU? I think you might have. Not too sure if you're still available to speak to that, but Nelson worked as an ECMO nurse, which is extra corporeal, this like really fancy type of nurse. So pretty cool stuff. If he's available, I'll have him speak to his experience too. But good question. Thank you for asking. So moving forward with what Jacob, my mentor, suggested for me. He said, always have a 3 to 5 year plan. It could be a 3 year, it could be 4 year, 5 year. And the reason is because your plans are going to change. So always have something in the back of your mind that's kind of like static of what you want your future to look like, and then change and adapt as you go too. So what I would recommend is with a pen and paper or pencil and paper, write down what you see yourself looking like in the future in 3, 4, or 5 years. Write down your ideal position, okay? And then take a step back from that, what you wrote, and then envision it. What does that look like? Does it look like, you're in a critical care environment? Does it look like you're working with medications that are super, like anesthesia medications? Is it working in an environment outside of the hospital? What does that position look like? And then you have the 3, 4, or 5 years as well. So now you have a deadline, 3, 4, 5 years. You have your vision, what you took a step back and imagined, and then you have your goal, what you wrote out. If you have those three things, then you can start your action. So you have 50% of it by doing those three things. The other 50% is your call to action. So now you can start making those small changes today that are going to impact you in the future. Do I want what can I do now that's going to influence my job role in the future? And I told Jacob, I said, you know what? I want a leadership role. I want to be a nurse leader. I want to help other nurses. I get satisfaction when I see people on my team succeed. Like it makes me so happy. And then I said, you know what? I want to work from home. So I kind of imagine that. And at the time, 3 years ago, I had no idea that this even existed. This part of nursing, this world even existed. Um, and now, like, how incredible is it that I'm a part of it, and it matches my goals to a T. It has everything I want. I'm seeing you all candidates succeed, and it puts a smile on my face every day, and it makes me happy to see you guys here right now. Um, it is just incredible when you set your mind to something and you have it written out. It's so much easier to start adapting yourself to that role. As nurses, we adapt and change all the time. We can do that for our own, for ourselves too, you know. Um, Make it wild too if you want. Make it weird, make it interesting. If your plan, at the time working from home wasn't really a thing, but I thought that would be cool, so I wrote it down. Gerardo, you had something, another question?
Yeah, yeah. So, Justine asked, is there a chance of changing a department slash ward in a hospital as you wish as a nurse? And of course, every hospital system is different, but what was your experience in that area?
100%. You can definitely change your roles. I, of course, when you work with the hospital, get familiar with it, work for it at least 6 months before you have the idea to change roles, because in that 6 months, you're learning the system, you're learning yourself as a nurse, where you belong in that system too. And then you're also watching the people around you and finding out all these different roles that you might have not have known that existed. And then you're going to be assigned more than likely a nurse educator, somebody who's going to help guide you when you first start too, and get you your training that you need, that the hospital requires. Talk to that nurse educator, make them know, tell them all your wishes for the future. Honest, make them your mentor, if you want. Tell them, hey, I want you to guide me. And they will 9 times out of 10 say, yes, let's do it. I love that you're excited to be here, because that's why they do their role. That's why they're a nurse educator, because they want to see you grow too. So I would say 100% yes. Changing your role is for me, from my experience, was very fluid, very easy, and very supportive. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Um, All right. Any other questions that I missed, Gerardo?
Yeah, there's another one that's really good. How soon can a new nurse adjust to their new work, you know? And are there any support available for that transition?
Yeah, I mean, immediately. You'll have support immediately as a nurse. I've never once felt like I was alone. And I think I don't know obviously how hospitals work outside the US, but inside the US, it's a community, it's a team. Everybody wants to see you succeed. Nobody wants the patient to have a bad experience either. So if it means that you need help and you need assistance, they're there for you. The charge nurse that you'll work with is going to be your best friend, and they're going to help support you. If you're missing some labs and you don't have the time to do it, the charge nurse is there to help you out. So I hope that answers the question. You'll have support like immediately. They don't want to. It's not just you're working here, do these things, and nobody's going to tell you. But they will they will support you, of course. Um, any other questions, Jordan? If
Not,
not,
no
okay.
questions for now, but really cool, really nice comments. I
Oh, that's
appreciate
sweet.
everyone,
Thank you.
participating. Millie mentioned that she likes the way nurses are recognized by doctors, unlike in her
Yes.
home country. So
I love that
yeah.
you said that. I love that you said that. Yes,
Mhm.
100%. Again, 1 in 3 people in healthcare settings are nurses. You have to work together, and physicians know this too. And actually one of the best recommendations I had moving up in my career was from a physician. He was a vascular interventional he was a vascular surgeon, and he would do interventional radiology procedures as well. His name was Dr. Winter. He was fantastic. He kind of looked like Einstein a little bit with crazy white hair, but he gave me one of the best recognitions I could, which was a great catch award, and I think I have it on my desk here. And that was for properly assessing a patient too. So he recognized that I was doing my job as a nurse really well, and he told my charge nurse, and then they presented me that award. So yeah, it's a really positive atmosphere. I really haven't had a bad experience, and yeah, I'm very grateful for all of that. So be the change you want to see. I kind of already touched on this a little bit, but make those changes now so you can benefit them in the future too. Um, it doesn't have to be drastic changes. It could just be small things, like how do I work on my time management a little bit better? How do I work on my patience a little bit better? It's these small things are gonna add up, and then once you get here, it's gonna be worth it. Adapt. We already know that as nurses, you always have to adapt. And tell people be proud of your goals, be proud of your successes, be proud of who you want to become, and tell people who you want to become too. um, when I started this role here at ANP, it felt weird, sometimes to kind of tell people what I was doing, because it's a new position for me. But now, you know what, now I'm owning it. Now I'm saying, you know what, I should be proud of this. This is amazing. Like this is where I belong. And by owning it and making it yours, you get that confidence boost you need. And it feels really good to be able to tell somebody, because then they're like, wow, that's super cool. And then it keeps going after that. So the confidence, it just stacks. It's fantastic. And believe yourself, believe in yourself. Number one, of course, you all made it to this point for a reason. The hospital sees you succeeding. Otherwise, you know, this opportunity wouldn't be here, right? They want to see you grow. They want to see you succeed. So always remember that you matter a lot, and you're important to these hospitals, and believe in yourself too. Okay. If you ever need somebody to talk to, somebody to re-inspire you, let me know. I'll be happy to hang out with you and just chat. We can do that all the time. I think we have a couple candidates that we, if they would need some additional, like just if they just want to hang out and brush up on their English a little bit. I think we have a couple candidates that reach out too. So it's great. we believe in you, so you should believe in yourself. We want to see you succeed. And you keep going, never stop. Keep learning, keep growing. Find that happiness that's in the back of your mind, and be the best you can be. Okay. It's very important to not stop. You're almost there, you know. Some extra hospital benefits that I received throughout, and I'll touch on these more at a later date. I just kind of wanted to give a brief idea of what that looked like for me. Education, I kind of already spoke about this too, that the hospital helped me get my bachelor's degree in nursing. I had an associate's degree first. The hospital said, we'll help cover the expenses for your bachelor's degree. I said, of course, let's do it. Like, I'm not turning that down. Like, I want to be a better nurse. I also got a certification in radiologic nursing, so a certification in radiology. They helped sponsor that too. It was great. It felt nice to have the hospital in my corner, wanting to see me succeed. Paid time off, PTO. I know this is a big one for everybody, so I won't answer any questions about this right now. We'll touch on this at a later date. But on the bottom left, the photo of me kind of sitting on a rock. Maybe some people might recognize the background. It's Machu Picchu, and I was on the top of Huayna Picchu. Huayna Picchu is the mountain you have to hike up. It's crazy, super cool. But I used time that was given to me from the hospital to take a vacation, and they paid me for that vacation too. So while I was gone, I didn't miss any hours. I just used PTO, and they helped cover those expenses, not covered my wages. They didn't pay for the trip. I paid for the trip. But they allowed me to take time off, still get paid, and explore the world, which is incredible. I love that. That's just a general thing that most companies do in the US, but the hospital, they did the hourly that I received for my time off. It was nice. They took good care of us. Support system, like I said, it's a community. They want to build that community up. They want to build that culture. Every hospital has its own mini culture. So it's cool, the activities you do. One of our favorites in the cath lab actually was tea time. And it sounds super basic, but they would come around with fresh, hot herbal tea or chai tea, packs of like cookies and stuff like that. And it was great. It was like just what I needed to get through the day with some nice hot tea, not coffee. If it was coffee, that might have been a bad thing, because that would have been probably my third or fourth cup of coffee. But the tea was nice to kind of help settle my nerves a bit. Um, Therapy. Therapy is a big one. Mental health is huge right now. And we all should utilize therapy as we need to. I use the therapy system that my hospital provided. I was in a place where I needed support. I needed some additional support. I was feeling overwhelmed. And I was able to get free therapy sessions to help guide me through it. Nobody's perfect. Just because I'm here sitting on this side doesn't mean I'm any better than the other person. We all still need help. So having those opportunities available to us is great. Again, go through your benefits. Once you get there, talk to human resources there, talk to the team there, and they'll get you the support you need. Gerardo.
Yeah, just a quick question. So you already talked a little bit about this, but if you can go over it once again, summarize it. So it's the system flexible enough from your experience to allow us to go further our studies. This was by Millie, and Millie also said that she does like everything and that you have inspired her today.
Oh, thanks, Millie. That's so sweet. Um, I love the question, and I can tell the question comes from a sense of urgency and desire to learn more. And I love that. Keep that up, Millie. Like, don't ever lose that, okay? Because yes, the hospitals do believe in you and they want to see you succeed, so they will help you with your education too. Uh, I really, if you can think of it, the hospital probably helps, but you have to vocalize it too. So once you get here, make it known that, hey, I want to go back for my master's degree. I want to become a nurse practitioner. I want to work in a different department. let them know so they can help set up small challenges for you and goals for you while you're getting your nursing experience there, to get you to that next step too. So yeah, the support system is there, the growth opportunity is there. I'm really excited for you all to experience this. It really is fantastic. Thank you, Millie. Q&A time. Oh, Jerry, you had some, Gerardo, you have something else?
Yeah, there's a question which you were casually
Sure.
speaking about that about growth. Is job growth slow, or what does it depend on?
For nursing, job growth is growing, and it continues to grow. There is the aging population that we have, that we don't have the resources right now with nursing. Well, we have nurses, but the demand for nurses is still high. So as the aging population still grows, the demand for nursing is still going to grow too. The outlook for nursing is great. I think every year has been at least 20% growth in that sector too. So it's constant. Good question. And yeah, we'll open up to everybody now. If you have any questions you'd like answered, please put them in the chat. Gerardo will kind of look over them, and we'll talk about it. Thank you everybody for listening to my
Yeah,
presentation.
no,
What do
thank
you
you,
have,
Justin,
Gerardo?
for telling us a little bit about your experience. This has been
Yeah,
great. We do have a question uh,
sure.
sorry, by Eva. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing. But how did you handle colleagues who are hard to work with?
Ooh, good one. Honestly, I didn't really have difficulties with colleagues. I'm a pretty nice guy, if I do say so myself. So I feel like rarely would I be in that situation. But of course, it's gonna happen. We're gonna find somebody who we don't always agree with. And here's how I'll answer that is don't react immediately. If you feel a sense of any sort of difficulty with another person, uh, be it in healthcare or outside, don't react immediately. Just kind of take that energy and hold on to it a little while, digest it. Think about it for a while and then approach it later on. You know, I like being direct, so I like to say, "Hey, is everything okay?" I don't know what's going on in the other person's world. I don't know if they had a bad day. Maybe a patient isn't doing too well, even though they tried really hard. There could be circumstances that we just don't realize. So I would just kind of not use, I would not channel that energy and throw it back. I would recommend holding on to it, digesting it, and then responding, in a more professional, appropriate manner. Um, in the hospital setting, it's always paramount that you remember the hospital wants patients to be safe. They don't want patients to be in any sort of danger in any environment that could, lead to worse outcome. So your goals are always the patient, and colleagues, their emotions come second, right? So as long as you stay focused and you take care of your patient, um, you'll succeed and you'll grow. Those colleagues, emotions come and go, you know. Um, so it is a challenge. I do recognize that, but that's my recommendation, and I hope that helps you. Gerardo,
Yeah,
thank you for
awesome.
that good question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Rita wants to know, she's first of all thanking you for this session. How do you
Of
handle
course.
stress at work and off duty?
Oh gosh. Food, honestly, that's my coping mechanism for stress, food. No, I mean, therapy was great for me, honestly. I really enjoyed the therapy sessions that the hospital provided. It's of course it was super personal to me, but it was nice to have that person there available to me to help to support me and help guide me because they could break down my emotions in a way that I didn't know was even possible. But stress management, I think that comes with time as well. Just practicing your nursing skills, knowing that there is a limit to what you can do. You go in, you do the best you can every single time, and then you kind of move on, I wouldn't it's definitely tough to carry on stresses from the past day. So I would if I had a stressful day, I'd leave, I'd call up a friend, I'd go for a walk with my dog, I'd hang out with my wife and go on a date or something like that, or yeah, the friends that I had in working with me in the same unit, well, we could hang out as well, and we could just chat and talk about it. That open communication on the units was available 24/7. So it was really nice to have that support system built in. That's how I handled stress and food. Don't forget food.
Yeah.
I love food.
Food is important. Thanks, Justin. Yeah, we're running out of time, so we're gonna do three more questions.
Okay.
So Justin, this question might be a little hard, Inez wants to know if there's a challenge for nurses who studied and only have experience outside of the US. Of course, your experience is US based,
Hmm.
but from your experience in already, working in US hospitals, do you think there might be some challenges? If so, what are your thoughts?
I didn't really recognize any challenges from nurses from different cultures. I actually admired nurses who took on those challenges and owned it and made it the best that they can be, because that's everybody's limit, right? And some of the best nurses I worked with were not from the United States; they were from outside,
Mhm.
and it was always nice and refreshing to be like, man, we need people who care. That's all that you need to be a fantastic nurse, is to care and do the best you can with that care. Like I said, the patient is what matters most. If you ignore your patient, that's when people aren't going to believe in you. But if you care about your patient, you want to see them succeed, then and get out of the hospital healthy, then you cannot fail. So I didn't recognize any specific challenges. It's kind of hard for me to have an opinion on
Yeah.
that, of course, but I was never in a situation where, um, sorry, need some water. I was never in a situation where um, there was a difference between a USRN and a non-USRN. I think as long as you show that compassion, we could relate and we can team up and collaborate and make the best of it.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. We were getting a lot of nice comments to you,
Oh,
Justin. Monica wants to thank you very much, Justin, and this is very insightful. Justin,
thank you,
what are
Monica.
some of your, you talked about your day to day and stuff like that. Do you have a
Hmm.
specific, moment or specific experience that you would consider your favorite from your, you know,
Ooh.
time as an RN? Maybe a specific patient, a specific event with coworkers. If you had to pick one, do you have one in mind?
Good question. Good question. Um, I'd say some of my favorite moments was um, helping my patient leave the hospital, like getting him in the wheelchair to get them to their car, to somebody who's going to pick them up. Those were very special moments, that those like 15-20 minutes that you have with them, where it's just you and the patient one on one. It opens the door to a new sort of confirmation that you made a difference. You made a difference in this person's life. They're now going home
Mhm.
because of the care you gave them. So it's very special to share that moment. And then they get in the car, their family closes the door for them, and they wave goodbye, and you're like, ah, that feels so good. That
Yeah.
feels so nice. So I really love those moments. Those were great. There isn't a specific standout moment that I can recall. Um, and I'll be honest, if the opportunity came and I had to go back to bedside nursing or go back to a hospital system, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't be opposed to it. You know what I mean? It's nursing as a whole, I think, is a fantastic profession, and it made me who I am today. So I'll always be grateful for that.
Yeah, awesome. Great answer. So Gomez wants to know how many hours are you usually required to work a day? And are there any like breaks within the week I assume you mean like a break between like shifts. So can
That's what
you
it
elaborate
sounds
a little
like.
bit on that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
When I first started and worked the PCU, the bedside unit, those were 12-hour shifts, and there were 3 shifts a week. That means I had 4 days off every week. And some people would like it if they work 3 days back to back to back, and then have 4 days off. Some people prefer that. Some people prefer it kind of staggered, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Um, I would say that the unit that you work in is going to ultimately be the deciding factor of when those days are, because you need to be flexible. I would love it to plan my own schedule, and I know everybody would love to plan their own schedule, but flexibility is important when you first start, and then once you grow into it, then you can have some decision making in that. I would If I were planning a vacation, I would work with my scheduler, with my, I think, yeah, with my nurse manager, to say, hey, I want to take this time off. And a lot of times it was, okay, I'd work 3 days, take 7 days off, and then work the last 3 days, and then I wouldn't miss any time work. I didn't have to use any PTO. So I would say when you go to plan your schedule, just know it's always changing. It's never going to be set in stone, um, and you have a say in your schedule too. Okay, good question.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, we are running out of time. I do want to give a shout out to some very nice comments. Cristiano is saying thank you, Justin, for this session. Thank you to the ANP team. Lokesh, thank you so much for this wonderful webinar. It's been very helpful. Inez, the gratitude inspired me and keep us motivated. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. A lot of
Awesome.
thank yous. So
Uh,
but we're gonna stop there with questions since we ran out of time. But yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for attending today. Thank you for joining me. This is a very special moment for me. I'm incredibly proud of all of you again for being on this journey and letting us be a part of it. Thank you so much. Please, it's an open door. Let us know how we can help you out. Let us know what we can do better, and and we support you. Okay. Yeah, keep it up, keep going. You're going to be there, and it'll all be worth it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin.
Applaud yourself too.
Appreciate it.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good rest of the day.
Bye, everyone.